Colleen, how do you think that fear of failure is affecting the learning?
Well, fear of failure is something that gets into all of us. It is something that we all experience. And one of the things that kids need to learn is to embrace the excitement of trying something new instead of not approaching something because we're afraid we're going to fail. And that's a really hard mindset to shift. The way that we do that with students, now, full disclosure, I am not a teacher, have never been. I'm a psychologist, so I've got to sit in classrooms and observe. And I will tell you, I have observed the way that we get there, the way that we teach kids to be excited about trying something new instead of scared of failure is building the relationships, building that trust like Virginia talked about. And when we were online and during the pandemic, it is much harder to do that than when you are live and with your students so that they can see, I do care about you and it's okay for you to fail. And guess what? You made a mistake. That's all right. We're going to figure it out. Because being physically with those students, they can feel it differently. And that might not be the best psychological term, but it's just true. We've seen it. I've observed it with the best teachers. The kids who struggle the most show the most progress with a teacher that we can tell is truly engaged and has built a relationship with that child. And I think that's part of the key.
Virginia, how do you help the child overcome the fear of failure? When you see them in the classroom, what are the telling signs? Because one of the things that parents also struggle with, they are trying to understand, okay, is my son or daughter lazy, or do they have any learning deficiencies? Are they afraid of something? Like what's actually going on, right? So all of, as a teacher, I'm sure that you would be watching for that as well in class. And how do you identify that a student is afraid to try?
I think going back to what Colleen said is building those connections. I think I know my students well enough to know where they're at with their skill levels, but also emotionally and checking in with students. And for me, they fall in different categories. I think sometimes you have almost that paralysis or that inaction where a student feels so afraid to fail that they won't want to do the work, right? They almost function from the comfort zone. So you have to, when I work with students that way, I look at where they're at and what they're comfortable with and maybe modifying those steps to get them there. There are students who, when they have failed, someone reacted to it, right? It was either the grade or a family reaction. And so they want to avoid that as much as possible. And so they choose, they're always playing to their strengths, which is fine if a student can identify their strengths. But we also want them to grow from their areas of discomfort, right? I'm a firm believer that we learn when we're in uncomfortable situations or situations where we are challenged. And the other aspect is when students are just focused on the grade. So when a student's just focused on the end goal, which is a grade, but not the skills and the skill development. So with a lot of students, I score my grade in my classrooms based on skill and demonstration of that skill mastery. And so when students did not reach that mastery level, we have a conversation about it. We show them models of what student writing or student growth looks like, and then we help each student get there. I think coming back, everyone had a very different experience and all students are different. So we have to acknowledge that even pushing students to take risks will look different for each student. And so just identifying that and then working with that student to get there is really important.